Good evening and welcome to Channel 9 News. On tonight's special edition, we will talk about Australia's trade industry and how it puts us on the world scale. So tonight's first question is from Ryan in South Victoria. That's a good question, Ryan. Lucky, we have an answer waiting. The next question is from Matt in Sydney, and I'd like to hand it over to my co-host Anthony.
Today, the USA and Japan are the leading trading nations of the world, followed closely by China and India, who are emerging as the world's fastest growing economies. By using its geographic location to its advantage, particularly in terms of mineral exports, Australia has been able to establish sound trade and diplomatic relations with these powerful countries. On that question, I'd like to hand it over to my co-host Vishal.
Firstly, what is trade and why do nations do it? Now, to answer the question, the Australian Government Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade has a major role in advancing the interests of Australia to the world. This involves enhancing Australia's prosperity by committing numerous trade agreements around the world, providing foreign and trade policy advice to the government, and working with other government agencies to secure Australia's global, regional and bilateral interests. Another government agency, Austrade, is the Australian Government's Trade, Investment and Promotion Agency. With offices in over 50 different countries, Austrade allows Australian companies to grow their international business and attracts foreign investment into Australia. As part of the World Trade Organization, Australia has been largely involved in the abrogation of tariffs worldwide. They have consistently advocated this support by allowing the poorest nations in the world access to their markets. Question 4 from Michael in Hobart. For this question, I'd like to transfer you to Dr. Craig Emerson, the Australian Minister for Trade.
Yeah, sorry about the wind, guys. Now to answer your question, Australia has entered into numerous free trade agreements, also known as FTAs. FTAs are high-quality, comprehensive agreements which can cover entire regions with multiple participants or link just two economies. Under these agreements, parties are legally obligated to allow each other access to each other's markets for goods and services. Australia currently has 6 FTAs in force with New Zealand, Singapore, Thailand, US, Chile, and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and is currently engaged in 5 bilateral FTA negotiations with China, Japan, Korea, India, and Indonesia. It is also in the midst of the 3 plurilateral FTA negotiations regarding the Asia-Pacific region, and that's to answer your question.
Thanks, Craig. Question 5 from Thomas in Queensland. You can take care of this one, Anthony.
Trade is extremely beneficial in numerous ways. Trade increases the range of goods and services available within Australia and at usually lower prices. It also helps national stability and can help increase regional security, as well as build a working relationship between Australia and other nations. Due to trade, there is an increased number of people travelling to Australia for both work and recreational purposes. Trade also creates employment, which increases government revenue. Statistics have shown that countries that export pay higher wages in Australia, an average of $17,400 per annum. Also, by importing goods for other countries, Australia is able to easily manufacture the goods that it has an advantage in producing. This in turn allows it to export the surplus of goods that it manufactured in order to pay for our exports. Drive it home, Vishal.
In 2003, Australia's trade in goods and services totaled $306 billion and exports totaled $141 billion. The increased value of the Australian dollar has repercussions on its exports, because the higher the value, the more expensive its exports are to buy, and thus it is less competitive on the world market. Globalization also affects the world's economies. As a result of globalization, tariffs have been reduced, prices have fallen, and there has been rising incomes in Australia. Consequently, there has been a significant improvement in the material well-being of Australians. The next question is from Kevin in Melbourne. This is a live feed of Tony Abbott speaking from inside of the Parliament House.
Australia makes a significant contribution to the well-being of developing countries. The Australian government actively pursues this by participating in a number of both bilateral and multilateral trade agreements, which include the following: support lower trade barriers, promote efficient markets, support good economic governance, promote efficient infrastructure, and assist effective education and social services. According to recent research, transnational corporations pay more than local companies for labor, especially at the low-income end, where they are likely to be paying double the local industry wage. This has led to a considerable drop in the number of people suffering poverty. Terrorism is also a major threat to the development of many countries. Countries such as the US, Bali, Afghanistan have been greatly set back in relation to trade. Trade allows countries to advance faster. By opening up avenues for the transfer of culture through to technology, nations have the ability to procure an immense range of goods and services.